Hello, my name is Robert Herrera, and today I want to talk to you about some tips when thinking about divorce. Now, divorce is never easy. It's a big, huge step, and it's going to change your life, the life of your partner, and if there's children involved, them as well. There's a lot of collateral issues that come up through divorce. However, there's a smart way to go about it, and there are some tips that I'm going to impart on you that might help you through this situation. Now, tip number one, know your financial position. There are a lot of mistakes that take place where people are unfamiliar and don't know where the money is. They don't know what bank accounts the family has. They don't know what assets are there. So the tip number one would be to find out where the assets and liabilities are so that you have a good fundamental understanding of what is there. Now, this may mean that you need to meet with the accountant or your financial planner, but definitely find out what assets and liabilities are there so that you have at least that information so that you can make some decisions moving forward. Number two, there's a lot of mistakes that take place when a party leaves the marital residence. What this does is it can set up a precedent in the court's eyes that this is now the new change in position that the parties are experiencing. And this can have an impact on the marital assets and also have an impact on parenting time. So be very cautious before you do decide to move yourself out of the marital residence, as that can have consequences that were unintended. The other thing to think about, though, is if you are staying in the marital residence, the tensions are probably pretty high, and so you want to be very, very careful that you're not finding yourself in a situation that escalates and becomes very volatile, and now maybe the law enforcement is called and then becomes a domestic dispute situation, and that's absolutely not ideal, and that does create another layer of complication in a divorce proceeding. So be very cautious about that, but be aware that that can also be something to think about. Step number three. The third tip would be to consider your options when proceeding with a divorce. Now, there's always the option of each of you hiring your own attorneys, spending thousands and thousands of dollars that you may or may not have, and prolonging this fight and making it become very, very ugly. What I would have you consider is whether or not there are some other mechanisms that might be available and work better for you. One of those mechanisms is something called mediation, or divorce mediation specifically. What happens in that context is the disputing parties, the divorcing parties, they hire an expert, neutral third party to come in and help them with the divorce. Now, what this person does is they are a neutral third party. They don't have a vested interest in either side. Their sole job and obligation is to try and help the parties reach a resolution on these very, very difficult items that will need to be figured out in a divorce proceedings. You know, who gets the house? Who takes the 401ks? Is there maintenance that is going to be paid? What is the parenting schedule going to look like for the kids? These are all issues that are important and need to be decided. And if the parties, with the help of an expert mediator, can resolve those issues on their own, that then doesn't leave anything to chance, and then the court wouldn't then be put in the position of having to make a decision with regard to those. And this is a situation where mediation can be absolutely crucial and helpful. In these very stressful times where folks are not able to utilize mediators with one-on-one contact in an office conference room to sit down and figure these out, you want to look for a mediator who's able to utilize video technology to still be able to conduct mediations and run them effectively and help the parties reach these agreements and get those drafted up and circulated. The tip number 4 is to take care of yourself during this process. A divorce is difficult. It's difficult on the mind, body, and soul. And so you do absolutely need to take care of yourself during this process. If there's an activity that you enjoy doing, making sure that you schedule that in, whether it's working out, playing tennis, meeting with friends on a regular basis, but you need to have kind of that outlet to be able to do that, and maybe considering getting a therapist involved to help you deal with some of the emotional issues that you may not have thought about prior to going into divorce. And some of them come up and you don't think about them. For some folks, that can be anything from, coming to an empty, quiet house, not being able to tuck in your children at night, serving them breakfast in the morning, or some other issues that a divorce absolutely has its effect on you. So taking care of yourself is a big part of that. There are many other issues that come around with divorce, but those are the 4 tips that I would suggest for those who are thinking about divorce. Thank you.